The Honourable David Cunliffe.
Kia ora, Mr Speaker. Tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. Ko Waitakere te maunga, ko Kaipara, ko Waitamata, ko Manukau te moana. Ko te Kawerau a Maki te iwi, nā mana whenua. Ko one kiritia te marae. Kia ora. Mr Speaker, it has been said that the Te Kawerau a Maki settlement is significant because it is a lesson for all of us in what the Crown should not have done, and yet it is an opportunity for us now to face forward and say what, as a reunited community, we can do. Mr Speaker, I wish to begin by acknowledging some of the rangatira who have brought us to this point. I will then briefly recount, although others have done in more detail, some of the historical factors that have brought us to this point, and to acknowledge the terms of cultural and material redress that bring us to this day where mana whenua is restored and where a new mana-based relationship can carry us into the future. In doing so, sir, I wish to firstly acknowledge ngā mate. Rātou kia rātou, tātou kia tātou, and in particular Eru Thompson, who, as much as anyone, worked to bring this day to fruition. And it is a sadness that he's not here with us physically on this day, but I'm sure we can all feel his spirit and that of our other tipuna, fluttering around, taking more than a little quiet satisfaction. Can I acknowledge also Te Warana Taonga, who has worked tirelessly with others to bring this to fruition, and also Rewi Spraggan, my old friend, and the broader team from Te Kawerau a Maki who graced the chamber today. Thank you for coming. It's a delight, sir, to acknowledge my old friend Sir Robert Harvey, and with him former Mayor Penny Webster and Councillor Alf Filipaina. And in respect of Sir Bob as a new West Auckland MP, and today, sir, I speak on behalf of my Westie colleagues Phil Twyford and Carmel Sepuloni. We wish to acknowledge the proactive work that the former Waitakere City Council did across multiple fronts, not only the eco-city, not only the revival of the arts community, but central to its mission was the acknowledgement and restoration of a mana-based relationship with iwi. The city that Sir Bob led was, in my view, not just another local body. It has been my deep privilege as an MP for the area to see and to be part of a living, breathing process of restoration of mana to the tangata whenua and to the whenua itself. And it remains, and always will remain for me, sir, an example of what good, visionary and progressive governance at local level can be. And I wish to pay my respects on this occasion to Sir Robert for his personal commitment to that over many years. And I would go so far as to say that I'm not sure we would be here today without his efforts, alongside that of the various kaumātua kuia and rangatira who grace the chamber. Mr Speaker, the history does not read well. I wish to acknowledge the attorney for his very, I think, honest recount of that history in his various speeches on this subject, and the work with officials that he has led. There's no politics in this between the sides of the House. We are joined together as New Zealanders to wish Te Kawerau well. Sir, the Crown negotiated with Ngāti Whātua in ignorance of the claims and the history of Te Kawerau a Maki. They were a small iwi. To say they were overlooked is to put it generously. Run over might be a more accurate piece of common parlance. Their land was sold out from under them, to mention but one, as Kelvin Davis, my colleague, did in an earlier speech, 100,000 acres in central Waitakere. 100,000 acres, and today we mark a partial redress in the return of several dozen acres. And yet Te Kawerau has not asked for the return of that land, nor rent, nor back rent, nor any other form of redress, which in the strict letter of Pākehā law, if the claim were validated, they may have had a case for. So I wish to acknowledge, Sir, on behalf of the West Auckland group of MPs, and acknowledging Penny Henare and Kelvin Davis, whose rohe also, as our tangata whenua MPs, covers that rohe, the generosity of Te Kawerau a Maki in the spirit of this settlement, liberating us all to move forward as colleagues, as Kiwis, in a mana-based relationship. But we would not be here today if it hadn't been for the work of successive governments, of local government, and critically of the generosity of spirit of this iwi, who are prepared to forgive what are the most grievous and ignorant of practices by the Crown in days gone by. And those of us gathered in this chambers as members of Parliament today, we carry the mantle of the Crown. Even though we weren't there then, we are part of this process to acknowledge the return of mana to you across both sides of this House, to say the Crown did wrong, multiply, willfully, sometimes ignorantly, and the effects on your forebears were devastating. And the Crown and we are sorry. And that is such an inadequate, pathetic word in the light of that history. But nonetheless, it is true. And out of that sorrow, out of that acknowledgement, out of the restoration of that mana, comes a token settlement which can never adequately redress the loss or the wrong that has been sustained. Others have mentioned in more detail. I will not repeat all of the detail. I will acknowledge that the 6.5 million that represents 85% of the Woodhill forest does provide the opportunity for a sustainable economic base for the iwi, and I think that is a very important part of the package, because the iwi must have putia in order to provide for future generations. It provides cultural redress in title to a range of sites of historical significance and first right of refusal on a number of others which are important. And I well know, sir, the hope and the passion that has lied behind the aspiration of Te Kawerau to once again have its own home marae. I think the settlement of 300,000 towards that attorney is probably not the greatest number that I could have imagined, and I hope that the Crown will continue in the spirit of partnership alongside Auckland Council to regard itself as on a journey with the iwi to make sure that that dream is realised. But I look forward to seeing a working marae for Te Kawerau a Maki at Te Ona Kiritia Point, or exactly wherever they choose to erect it. Mr. Speaker, it's been an absolute privilege on behalf of my West Auckland colleagues to take this call. I can only hope that my ill-formed words can in some small way convey the depth of affection, of respect, of hope, and of gratitude to all of us who wear the cloak of the Crown and the representation of the people of the Rohe, to all of you who have worked, dreamed, hoped, and aspired to the fact that today would come. Can I acknowledge that you are both Māori and Pākehā, that you are of the past, we are here today, and together we face the future with renewed hope. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I call Paul Foster Bell.
Tēnā koe te mana.
Nā koe.